Hello, this is Dr. Arti Kandolkar. I am a consultant psychologist and a counselor. Today, we are going to discuss on anxiety disorders, like what is anxiety disorder, what are the different forms of anxiety. You can also say there are different types of anxiety disorders. So we are going to cover types as well. Okay, some symptoms which are psychological, emotional, or you can say even physical. So this is what our entire topic is for today. Okay, so let's begin with understanding what is anxiety disorder, types and symptoms. So let's begin. So we'll study initially what is anxiety and an introduction to it and types. Next, we have seen the types, right? We'll be discussing about this, but now we'll see the definition of anxiety. Now there are a variety of definitions available on different sites and different books. Okay, so we have just picked up one among them, and this generally goes with the APA, that is American Psychological Association. So it says anxiety is an emotion. Okay, so it's an emotion characterized by feeling of tension. So feeling is also there. Worried thoughts, so thought is also covered, and physical changes like increased blood pressure. So what is anxiety? So anxiety covers almost every part, and you can say every structure of human being, that is emotions, feelings, thoughts, and you can say physical changes also. So it is affecting our entire physique, okay, internally and externally as well. So next, after seeing the types and the definition, let's move on to the introduction of anxiety disorder. Now, what is there in an introduction? So introduction will cover some points which will focus on anxiety and related concepts like fear. Okay, so let's begin. It says anxiety is a commonest psychiatric symptom. Okay, so that means it's a very common phenomena to occur in any human being. Okay, it's not something rare. Like you can say schizophrenia, or you can say mood disorder. It's something rarely to occur in a human beings, but anxiety is the commonest in you can say in general population as well as in a psychiatric ward or a clinic. You'll find this patient in a number of cases. Very routinely you will get these cases. So it covers around 20%. Okay, around 20% people on an average will suffer from anxiety symptoms. Second, you can see they have said something about fear. Now it looks like fear and anxiety are similar, but there is a mild difference. We'll be discussing about this. Okay, so let's understand one more point about anxiety is fear is a response to external danger, means outside danger, while in anxiety, the danger is largely unknown. So what is the difference between anxiety and fear? Anxiety is something internal, which you feel, okay, which you experience internally, okay, that is uneasiness and all, while fear is something external. You know something is outside and it is fearful. Like suppose there is a snake over here, or there is a spider or something which I'm scared. So that is fear, not an anxiety. But suppose it is an, what you can say, you know something is going to happen. There is an exam after some days. So you will be like, it is in response to future events. Okay, response to some stressor outside us. Okay, so it is like that's, means anxiety is internal while fear is outside our body. We know there is exam approaching. So it is something stressor. We perceive exam as a stressor generally. So it's a reaction to that stressor. That is, you can say, fear. Okay, so next, the third point, if we cover here, is anxiety is a state of apprehension. Okay, anxiety is a state of apprehension or unease arising out of anticipation of danger. We just already discussed about this. Is an anticipation, means you are predicting, you are assuming this something is going to happen, and mostly it will be negative. If something is positive, we call it eustress. Okay, this is something like a distress, negative event. So it is like we assume and it becomes uneasy. Okay, anticipation of some danger. Danger could be anything, like you are participating in some maybe bungee jumping or anything. It could be danger. Okay, outside. It's generally outside. Okay. And then the fourth point is anxiety becomes pathological. This is a very important term. Okay. Which significantly subjective distress and impairment in the overall functioning of an individual. So what does this mean? That it is pathological means it is something dangerous. It is something very, you can say, psychotic in nature. So it becomes dangerous. Anxiety is there in almost every individual. Just like there are 7 emotions, like there is something like excitement, that is happiness, sadness. Okay. Similarly, anxiety is 1 out of 7. It's not something different. Everybody has it, but it is called pathological or it is called disorder only when there is significant means larger quantity, or which is very much visible, which is very much obvious. Okay. When it becomes significantly significant and it causes subjective means personal, distress means something negative. Okay. So personally you are stressed, personally you are distressed. And impairments, it is disabling, means it is making you disabled, or it is making you not work or function properly. So your functionality is affected. So it is called impairment in the overall functioning of an individual. Overall means what? Overall means your all the major areas. Like for example, maybe you're doing some job, you are a parent, you have to look after your kids. Maybe you are in some social gathering, you have been given some social responsibility. Okay, everywhere. Okay, or even if you are personal, like grooming, taking care, brushing, having bath, this is your personal care. So even this is affected by anxiety. So this is like what I was trying to cover, like what is anxiety? This is an introduction to anxiety. Okay, so hopefully this is understood. After discussing about the definition, types of anxieties, okay, so let's begin now. Okay, we also discussed about introduction. So next is symptoms. We are going to cover psychological symptoms and physical symptoms. So what happens to an individual when he suffers from anxiety? We are going to see deeply, like what symptoms exactly. Okay, so let's begin with psychological symptoms. So first is, in psychological means mental, what happens to us mentally. Okay, the first is cognitive symptom. Now what do you mean by cognitive? Cognitive means our thoughts. Okay, critical thinking or decision making, that has been affected. Okay, and what exactly happens? Like how do you know? So you will have poor concentration. Okay, poor concentration, won't be able to pay attention to anything you are doing, even dressing, even eating, going, driving. The concentration will get affected. Then there is distractibility. Even if I'm trying to focus on something, studying or driving, if something happens, minor thing, I'm likely to get distracted. Then hyperarousal means more alert. Okay, vigilance and scanning. I keep on being observing anything which is maybe irrelevant to us. And negative automatic thoughts means we'll be thinking more of a negative. What will happen if I don't pass, or what will happen if I don't reach on time? So all these thoughts will be running if you have cognitive symptoms. Mentally you are affected. The second is perceptual symptoms. Okay, perceptual means the way we process information from our 5 senses. Okay, that you can say vision, hearing, taste. Okay, then our touch and other senses. So majorly we have 5 senses. So those are affected. Okay, the first is derealization and depersonalization. Let's understand them clearly. So derealization means there is something called D. Let's understand this. Okay, realization, you understand, means you are in a reality, you are experiencing what is happening here and there, how you are talking, what is there in your hand, or where you are focusing on, you are aware. In derealization, due to extreme anxieties only, you are not aware what is happening. You are there, you're doing your routine task, or you may be in a bus or you may be in a car sitting there, but lost. Okay, you don't know what is happening exactly. If somebody like touches you or says something, you're like, what happened? You'll giving a startle response. So that is derealization may happen, and depersonalization can also happen. Now, you must have heard about depersonalization as a psychotic symptom. Okay, but now it can also occur in an anxiety. Okay, because we have extreme anxieties which is piled up for maybe years or months. Okay, and now it is at a stage of depersonalization. It is something like you are seeing yourself out of your body. Okay, it's like I'm there. Now this also seems like something spiritual, like being an observer of your own body. But this is just a part, it is temporary, it is not long lasting. And one more difference about this depersonalization being pathological, or you can say psychotic, and normal anxiety is this. An anxiety person knows that he is experiencing himself out of his body and is aware. But when it is a psychotic symptom, okay, the person is not aware what is happening to him. Okay, he is not into reality. There is a breach into the reality. Okay, that is how it is different. So do not get mixed up here. This is related to our anxiety only. And as we covered this too, the next is affective symptom. Now what is affect means? Affect is not an effect. Okay, as you say, the A is the effect of B. It's not that. Affect means emotions. So emotionally also you are getting affected. You got affected mentally, cognitively, you got affected the way you perceive information, and now you are affecting by your emotions also. Now what happens in an emotions? Let's say there is a diffuse, unpleasant and vague sense of apprehension. Okay, so you don't know, okay, emotionally what I am up to, what I am going to do, like sort of a numb. Okay, you feel not so much pleasant, unpleasant feeling, and vague. It's very unclear to you what is happening. Then fearfulness. Okay, then inability to relax. Even if you have a lot of time with yourself, you can sleep, relax, sleep, means do anything of your time, still you won't be able to relax in an anxiety. You'll be all the time thinking, all the time worried, ye aise kaise hoga, ye kyun hoga, like all these things will be running in your mind. Then inability, feeling of impending doom, that I'm going to fail. Impending doom means I'm going to fail, I'm not going to succeed, I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. This will be constant thoughts, okay, when the anxiety is severe. And the fourth one is, other symptoms include insomnia. You know what is insomnia? Lack of sleep. Okay, you won't be able to sleep properly. Increased sensitivity to noise. If something is happening the next door or within our house, maybe TV is on, and you'll get irritated. Switch off the TV. You will shout at people. Okay, it's not because you have something hearing issues or something. It's because you are in tremendous anxiety. Okay, and then exaggerated startle response. Like suddenly you may just suddenly get aware or get a jerk or something like that. So there are various symptoms. So these psychological symptoms we have covered. Let's see the another symptom. Physical symptoms. Okay, so what are the physical symptoms? This is like our body will show up these symptoms. Now mental symptoms, psychological, which we discussed earlier, couldn't be seen directly. A person can experience it. Now physical means you other person can also see and you can experience it directly. The first is motoric. Okay, motoric symptom. Motor means major areas of our body, that is maybe hands, legs, are affected due to anxiety. Like you're walking, you're doing some work, this has been affected. Or like for example, tremors, you are shaking or not feeling good. Restlessness, muscle twitches, fearful facial expressions. So everything will happen to your body. You won't be able to hold properly, talk properly. So all this startle, Then tremors, twitches is likely to happen. Then the next is automatic and visceral symptoms or visceral symptoms. What are this? This is like directly body is reacting. That is like palpitation is affected. Okay, heartbeat, your palpitations are higher. Okay, more faster. Tachycardia, that is means your heart rate is more than 100. Okay, more than normal. Then sweating will appear, obviously at the back of your neck or on your this area of your hand. You're likely to get sweating. Okay, dry mouth, even if you have enough of water, still you may feel the mouth is dry. And dizziness, okay, and diarrhea. You know what is diarrhea? So all this, it is like mind and body connected. If you feel anxiety in your mind, that is called gut brain gut connection. Okay, the mind which is feeling directly send this information that I'm not fine to the body, and body takes the reaction, being having diarrhea, tummy ache, I can say dizziness, vomiting kind of a feeling, nausea, anorexia feeling. All this may happen due to anxiety. So we have covered already the physical symptoms. So we have already discussed about psychological symptoms, physical symptoms, and next we'll discuss about forms of anxiety. Now, how it is different. So these are forms means two different way a person may have anxiety. Okay, you can identify it yourself. The first one is trait anxiety and the second is state anxiety. What is trait? Trait means something which you have already learned over the period of time. Okay, it's like it begins like stimulus and response. Okay, you had some stimulus, you got a response, and this reaction multiple times becomes your habit. Okay, once your habit is formed, over the period of time, whatever your habit, okay, drinking a lot of water maybe, becomes your trait. So a person is identified that he drinks a lot of water. Okay, he sleeps a lot. Okay, or anything like Mahatma Gandhi, you know, he is identified for peace. Now it is his trait. Okay, you know any other person like Shah Rukh Khan, you know him, or any other actor. Okay, you know him as he is an actor, he is a good actor. So this becomes his trait. He is identified not like a lay person, he is identified as special. Okay, so this is a trait anxiety means what? What happens to a person who has trait anxiety? This is an habitual tendency to become anxious in general. Okay, and is exemplified by I often feel anxious. What do you mean by this? I generally feel anxious no matter what. Okay, if you call me for over a cup of tea, I'll be anxious. If you ask me, if you say give me a compliment like you're looking good, I'll get anxious. If you say have extra bread or extra butter, I'll get anxious. So anything, if you say even my exam is there tomorrow, okay, I'll feel anxious anyway. Okay, it doesn't require specific event to happen negative. So I often feel anxious means I am suffering from severe anxieties. The next state anxiety. Now it is slightly different, or you can say a different from trait anxiety. How? In this is the anxiety felt in the present cross-sectional moment and is exemplified. I feel anxious now. Suppose I am presenting anxiety disorder. I am feeling anxious now means only now when I have to perform something, I am anxious. Otherwise, if I am sitting there or I am driving or if I am doing some other work, I am not anxious. Okay. So it is like sometimes I feel anxiety, and this is like trait is like I often feel anxiety. Most of the time I feel anxiety. So this is the difference between the two. And to differentiate, a person with trait anxiety often have episode of state anxiety. A person who have already feel oftenly anxious will definitely have trait and state anxieties, because he is feeling every time. Now I am feeling anxious. After 5 minutes I am feeling anxious. After 1 hour I am feeling anxious. So because he is a trait type of a personality, this thing. trait anxiety type person. Okay. So I hope you have understood this. The next, how is normal anxiety is different from anxiety disorders. Now we know there is something called anxiety and there is something called anxiety disorder. We have already discussed something in our past slides, okay, in an introduction to anxiety. So let's still see what it is. The normal anxiety usually occurs in reaction to some stressor. Okay, the normal anxiety that we all face is a normal reaction to an stressor. I mean, there is something unpleasant outside, and because of that, we are worried. Okay, we feel anxiety. It may be you are going to an divorce. It may be an upcoming job promotion or an interview you are going to go. Okay, a layoff, a fear of having illness. Okay, and you go and see your doctor. So it is like it's a normal anxiety everybody faces when they have to deal with certain activities. Like your report is coming, you have tested yourself for glucose, maybe sugar or diabetes, whatever. Okay, your report are going to come or your results are going to come in just maybe after half an hour. It is going to publish on internet. So you're like having anxiety. It's a normal thing. And also, a normal anxiety is a short-lived. It's not long-lasting. It's for few days. Okay, doesn't it usually interfere with your life dramatically. It's not going to impact much. But an anxiety disorder tend to be chronic illness. Chronic means longer duration. Okay, and which is chances that it is going to get more severe. Okay, that has significant impact on your daily functioning, as we already discussed. Your daily functioning of having, taking care of your own self, okay, doing your job, taking your responsibilities, okay, all this thing, handling your business is getting affected. Means your overall functioning of a person is getting affected and may rob any of your joy in your life. So your joy, happiness that you face, okay, it can rob you from that. And over 40 million people in United States, okay, suffer from anxiety disorder, and also in India, around 20% people do suffer from anxieties, and globally too. Okay, so this is not only about USA,